afternoon. My name is John Markovich. I'm D-Wave Quantum's Chief Financial Officer, and my colleague Kevin Hunt is from our IR firm, ICR. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to our presentation today. I'll try to move through this as quickly as possible so we have time at the end for questions. I have been informed there's no presentations after me, so we can have an extended Q&A if the audience desires. So we are the world's oldest quantum computing company. We were founded in Vancouver, Canada in 1999. We went public on the New York Stock Exchange in August of 2022. There's a number of elements of D-Wave that are quite unique relative to the rest of the companies in this industry. We are a full stack provider, meaning we develop all of our own hardware and our software, and we have a professional services organization that works with our customers to help them develop applications that utilize our technology to solve their problems, which is typically a class of problem called combinatorial optimization problems. We commenced the development of a quantum computer about 15 years ago. I have a graphic here that will best illustrate that. But during this time frame, we have developed a very substantial intellectual property portfolio. We own almost 250 US issued patents, and we own the world's third largest quantum computing IP portfolio. There are two principal types of technologies or architectures that are utilized to build a quantum computer. One is called annealing, which is in the upper left, and there's gate model, which is in the upper right hand. Each one of those has some unique characteristics to it as it relates to the type of problems that they will solve. D-Wave is the only annealing quantum computing company of any substance. When you read about quantum computing, most of the other companies are what's called gate model companies. Different types of problems, meaning that annealing is focused principally on what's called combinatorial optimization problems. These are problems where you have a large set of variables and you're trying to optimize an outcome relative to some very specific constraints. We have demonstrated that we can solve problems up to about 2 million variables. Combinatorial optimization problems are typically the most prevalent type of problem that organizations are attempting to solve. In the middle, there are two categories of problems that both annealing quantum computers and gate model quantum computers can solve. That is linear algebra, which is also machine learning, and factorization, which is cryptography. And then over to the far right, we have a class of problems called differential equations. That is the domain of gate model companies. So both architectures can solve 3 out of the 4 problems. Not one architecture can solve all 4. So where D-Wave is unique is on optimization problems, and where gate model technology is unique is solving differential equation problems. Each one of those problem categories represents approximately 25% of the TAM, or the market opportunity. This is the timeline of both of those technologies. The upper bar is basically D-Wave's history. As I mentioned, we started the development of a quantum computer about 15 years ago. The orange part of the line represents what I call the R&D or science period, where we were actually developing the technology, both the hardware technology as well as the software. It wasn't until a couple years ago when we introduced our 5th generation system, it had sufficient computational power to solve real business problems and provide a quantifiable ROI. So that was our transition into what we characterize as commercialization. D-Wave is the only commercial quantum computer company. This bar down here is basically the aggregation of what is going on in the entire gate model portion of the industry. All of the other companies that are developing quantum computers are gate model companies. This is IBM, IonQ, AWS, Intel, a variety of others, both large corporations as well as independents and quite a few venture-backed companies. People have asked me, why did it take so long before this inflection point started for gate model, the development of gate model computers, and a massive amount of investment that started during that time frame. It was triggered by some academic papers that came out during that time frame that basically said that a gate model architecture could solve or should be able to solve all 4 types of computational problems. So the conventional wisdom at the time was, well, why do we invest in annealing because they can only solve 3 out of the 4? Let's invest in gate model because it can solve all 4. That was disproven about 2 years ago, also by academics as well as a number of companies that basically proved that a gate model computer cannot provide a speed up over classical computers on the class of problems I highlighted earlier, which is the optimization problems. As you can see, because that bar is still orange there, all of those companies are still in the development stage. And they are many years away from what we call production level type systems. These are some of the examples of the use cases. Most all of these involve the optimization of some type of a variable relative to some constraints. We had a universal technology that could solve a lot of different problems in different verticals. And last year, we started to become much more focused on specific verticals that are identified here based upon where we were having the most success with our use cases. Our first customer that actually went into production is the Pattison Food Group. It's a Western Canada grocery food chain. They have approximately 400 stores. During COVID, they ran into major problems in trying to schedule their workforce. It sounds like kind of a mundane problem, but it was an enormous problem for them because they had to work within a wide geographical area. They had 13 different unions. They had to accommodate 6 schedules, vacation schedules, and then they also had to figure out what employee can work at what stores within their geographic region. That is a classic combinatorial optimization problem. A lot of variables, very difficult to solve. They had spent quite a bit of time and quite a bit of money trying to solve that problem using classical methods. And they came to the conclusion they weren't going to get there. They came to us. We worked with them for about 2 years, and that application actually went into production last year. And what I mean it went into production is they constantly access our system to solve that problem on an ongoing basis. D-Wave is the first quantum computing company to have applications actually go into production. We're very early with respect to that. We have a handful of customers that are in production, but transitioning customers into production applications is one of our principal objectives because that translates into longer, higher margin contracts with greater revenue visibility. I talked about use cases earlier, and the applications or the customers I just showed you, they fall basically into this category. And this is where we've gotten proven results on scheduling and routing types of applications and risk management and allocation. So this has been our principal focus near term in terms of where we're focusing in terms of verticals and types of problems and the way we have developed our go-to-market organization. But as we continue to progress the technology, which will enable us to solve incrementally more complex problems, we see opportunities in other verticals as well as incrementally more complex use cases. The bar across the top, that is the development of our hardware, and the row below it is our software development. So as we introduce new generations of systems as well as new software applications, principally hybrid solvers, we see a pathway not unlike the semiconductor computing industry over the last 50 years. We see opportunities here that will grow over time in terms of the nature, complexity of the problems, and therefore the size of the market opportunity. We're frequently asked about what the application is for AI. We are making progress, although we have not productized this yet, on doing model training utilizing our systems. And model training within machine learning requires a massive amount of compute resources, and hand in hand with that, a massive amount of energy necessary to run all those GPUs to develop those models. We have early indications that we might have the opportunity to provide a step function there in terms of improvement. You know, it's still early on. Initial indications are that that could be a very interesting area for us, but we have not productized it yet. In March of this year, let me back up, there's a phrase in the industry that gets maligned quite a bit, particularly by those that have not achieved it or will not achieve it, called quantum supremacy. And quantum supremacy means you have solved a problem with a quantum computer that cannot be solved or cannot be solved in a reasonable period of time with a classical computer. In early March of this year, we filed a scientific paper it's called the archive. It's kind of a depository for scientific papers and manuscripts. So it became public at that point in time. What we demonstrated in that paper is we solved a magnetic materials real-world problem in approximately 22 minutes. And we benchmarked our system against the world's most powerful supercomputer, which is the Frontier supercomputer at Oak Ridge National Laboratories, at the Oak Ridge National Lab in Tennessee. What this paper demonstrates is we solved this problem in 23 minutes, and it would take that system over 1 million years to solve. And it would consume the equivalent of the annual consumption of energy by the entire planet. Sounds pretty profound, right? So with a paper that's making that type of a claim, we're ready for all the arrows, if you will, because it's in the public domain. This is something that 3 other companies claimed before us, going back 5 years. All their claims were disproven within weeks. Ours has been in the public domain since March, not one credible counter to it. We have not been able to market this, even though it's public, because we have an exclusive with a scientific publication that's got exclusivity on actually publishing this. And typically they take their time in doing this, and we're anticipating that they will publish at some point next quarter. At that point in time, we can put a spotlight on it and market it aggressively. Until then, I can talk about it in settings like this. It's in our investor presentations, but we cannot issue a press release on it. Very recently, we announced that we have calibrated our 6th generation quantum computer. It is a 4,400 qubit computer. Even though the number of qubits is smaller than our current production system, there are 3 variables beyond the number of qubits that are absolutely essential to how powerful that system is. This gets a little bit scientific, but if you'll bear with me, it's greater coherence, which drives a faster time to solution, greater connectivity, which is a measure of how many of the qubits actually talk to one another. The greater the degree of connectivity, the more communication there is between qubits. The more communication there is between qubits, the more powerful that system is. And then lastly, a measure called increased energy scale, which has to do with higher quality or more accurate solutions. This will go into production at some point next year. What we currently have in production today is we have three 5,000 qubit systems that are what we characterize as production scale. Our customers access those systems through our proprietary cloud-based system that's called LEAP. Those systems are physically located. One we have in Germany, one we have in Southern California, and one is in our Burnaby, Canada location. Each one of those systems can support roughly $25 to $30 million of revenue a year. Currently, we do not sell systems. 100% of our revenue is either subscription-based access to our systems through our Leap Cloud system, or the professional services of our internal team that works with our customers in helping them develop quantum applications. We recently introduced service level agreements. This is, for those of you that might be familiar with the technology industry, this is a common element of service agreements, particularly cloud-based service agreements, is basically guaranteeing uptime. We are the first quantum computing company to introduce production level service level agreements guaranteeing 99.9% uptime. The reason that this is important is there's not another quantum computer company that is anywhere close to that level of production capacity. So this was a very strong message in the industry to customers that are considering other platforms, because we continually get feedback that a lot of these systems will virtually go down for days. Very recently, we had been the recipient of what's called the TradeWinds Marketplace designation. Basically, I characterize it as kind of the Amazon Marketplace, where we're pre-qualified to sell into the Department of Defense and other government agencies. So we've been pre-qualified. The additional history that's noteworthy here is until we went public in 2022, we were a Canadian-based company. And as a result, we really did not have access to the U.S. government agencies, particularly the Department of Defense. Through that transaction, we became a U.S. corporation. And then once we got in the door, we found that the U.S. government had a very, very strong bias towards the other technology, the gate model technology. Probably no surprise, because we had never really gotten in the door before. We have made great inroads in that regard. The National Defense Authorization Act was extended for another 5 years this past December. It specifically includes language for annealing quantum computing, as well as near-term applications. And both of those mean D-Wave, because there isn't another company that can provide near-term applications. There's another pending piece of legislation that we think could have substantially greater impact for the industry in the United States. That is called the National Quantum Initiative. It was originally put into place when Trump was last in office. It was up for renewal in September of last year, and nothing happened. So, frequent question that we're getting is, well, what do you think is going to happen to the National Quantum Initiative? Well, since it was since it was a Trump initiative, I'm suspecting it'll probably regain some focus here. It's incrementally more important than the National Defense Authorization Act because it's really specific towards investing in the United States quantum computing industry. Too early to tell how that's going to translate, in terms of, what those opportunities are going to be for us. But relative to what existed or didn't exist a year ago, it's looking very encouraging. This is a highlight of some of our key metrics. We reported our third quarter results a couple weeks ago. I'm going to go down to the last two. One of the most common questions or prevalent questions that we've had since we became a public company is our liquidity. After we went public, we had a fairly difficult period of time because access to the capital markets was quite challenging. But in the last year, we've made tremendous inroads in that respect. In April this year, we became S3 eligible, so we filed a $175 million shelf with the SEC. We subsequently allocated $100 million of that to an at-the-money program. Before we went public, we put a $150 million equity line of credit in place. As of the end of the third quarter, between the two of those, we had about $130 million in capacity, plus we have $75 million of unallocated shelf that was approved by the SEC. So roughly at the end of the third quarter, we had a little bit more than $200 million of firm equity issuance vehicles. And we also recently paid off a secured term loan. So we now have debt issuance capacity should we decide to utilize that. A frequent question that I have been asked is, when do you expect to turn profitable and how much cash is that going to require? We've not given any guidance on that, but what I can tell you is two things. We have consistently stated that we believe that D-Wave has the opportunity to be the first profitable independent quantum computing company with cumulative cash investment less than any other independent quantum computing company. I can also tell you that the capacity that I just outlined, we believe will be more than sufficient to get us to what I characterize as the profitability promised land. With that, I'll open it up for questions. Yes, sir.
So if annealing as an approach is desirable, other people are going to eventually recognize it. What is going to prevent them from not just taking that? What are your patents and other modes?
Great question. And that wasn't a setup question, by the way. So first is we started this a long time ago. So we have an enormous head start. And during this period, that orange period, we had to address and solve a lot of very, very complex scientific materials and engineering problems. It would take somebody a long period of time to catch up. At the same time, we built the world's third largest intellectual patent portfolio. So we have a massive patent moat around our technology. And our technology covers not only annealing, but 60% of the patent portfolio also covers gate model. So we have a huge moat, and we have a lead time, and we've solved some very, very complex problems.
Okay.
We don't worry about it.
Okay. Just one other question. Talk a little bit about your expertise. Who do you have in your company that's notable, that's making this magic happen?
You mean like the rock stars?
Yeah, however you want to say it. Or are you licensing some of this technology? It's all in-house?
We have a very, very, very unique research and development organization that's principally based in Burnaby, Canada. We have a lot of employees who've been with the company for over 15 years. We have developed what I would consider, and I've been in the technology industry my entire career, we have a very unique environment and culture there. Our turnover within our R&D organization is substantial.
With more than 6,000 small and micro-cap companies listed, If you're looking for the next Apple, then ChannelChek truly is the orchard. It's an investor community where you can access independent Wall Street research, advanced market data, balanced news, corporate videos, and podcasts. You can even register to attend in-person Meet the Management Series lunches, and to be part of the preeminent annual Small and Microcap Investor Conference, NobleCon. And here's the best news. Since ChannelChek is sponsored by the featured companies, premium membership requires no investment. It's absolutely free. So check it out. Log in today. Find out why ChannelChek is North America's leading source of research on the companies that just may change the world.